probate court come to order. If you're going to testify, if you'll raise your right hand so we can swear you in, please.
Hello, everybody. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can put your hand down. Good morning, Gordon. All right, first on the docket, 23 CPR 0061, the state of Matthew Lee Anderson.
Mona Cohen here, Your Honor.
Good morning, Ms. Cohen. I see Ms. Savage is on as also. All right, Ms. Cohen, you may proceed.
Okay, we will be doing the airship first. So Mr. Anderson, do you want to be the first to testify? I need you to unmute it. Hit the button on the, you see.
Okay.
Okay, you're
Sorry.
good. You're good.
Okay.
Okay. Please state your full name for the court, Mr. Anderson.
Talbot Eugene Anderson.
And you are the father of Matthew Lee Anderson, correct?
Yes.
You are also the grandfather of his two children, Cody and Tucker. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is it true that your son died on July 21st, 2021?
Yes.
And at the time of his death, even though he died in Houston, Harris County, Texas, he was a resident of Chambers County. Is that correct?
Correct.
And at the time of his death, he was not married. Is that correct?
Correct.
He had been married previously, and his two wives were Lori Jean Allen, who he divorced in 2012. Is that correct?
Yes.
And his other wife was Jennifer Smith, who he divorced on August 27th of 2018. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the children, he had no children by Jennifer Smith. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct.
And his children are Cody Lee Anderson, who was born in July 3rd of 2003. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then there was another son, Tucker Evan Anderson, who was born on January the 8th of 2008. Is that correct?
Yes.
No other children were born to or adopted by him. Is that correct?
Correct.
And no, he didn't bring any children into his home to live and take them as his child. Is that correct?
Correct.
And as far as you know, there's no will. Is that correct?
Correct.
You have no financial interest in this estate. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you have not been paid for your testimony. Is that correct?
Correct.
I pass on this witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Savage.
Okay. Mr. Anderson, I remember talking to you. It's been a few weeks back. Do you remember the conversation?
Yeah,
Probably
right.
not. Okay. Well, I was going to ask you, your son had his two children by his first wife. That's correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And after that, you're certain that he didn't have any, bring any children into the world by like a girlfriend or any other women? Is that correct?
As soon as his second son was born, he had a vasectomy.
Okay. So you're certain there's no
no
other
more.
kids
I'm
ahead.
100% sure.
Okay. I'll pass the witness. Thank you.
I'll call you next witness, Counselor.
Mary, please state your full name for the court. Mary, I need you to unmute. Hit the button on the bottom. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Mary Elizabeth Anderson.
And you are the sister of the Matthew Lee Anderson was your sister, was your brother, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And as far as you know, he died on July 21st, 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And at the time of his death, he was a resident of Chambers County. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And at the same time, he was not married at the time of his death. Is that correct?
Correct.
And he'd been married previously twice, once to Lori Jean Allen, who he divorced in 2012. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And his second wife was Jennifer Smith, who he divorced in 2018. Is that correct?
Correct.
And he had no children by Jennifer Smith. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You know, his two children were of his wife, of Lori Allen. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And his two children were Cody Anderson, who was born in 2003, and Tucker Anderson, who was born in 2008. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And as far as you know, he did not bring any children into his home and raise them as his own. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so all children born to or adopted by him were just Cody and Tucker. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it true that you have no financial interest in this estate? Is that correct?
Correct.
And you have not received any compensation for this testimony. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I pass on the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Savage.
Mary, in regard to your father's testimony, did you hear his testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Matthew did have a vasectomy 6 months to the day after Tucker's birth.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, you don't have any disagreement with what your father testified to?
No, I am 190% certain that my brother did not have any additional children.
Okay, thank you. I pass the witness.
Let's go.
Your Honor, we asked in the judgment declaring heirship be entered and that Cody Lee Anderson, who is an adult, and that Tucker Evan Anderson, who is a minor, be a, their shares be a half and a half of the property that the decedent had. And that the heirship hearing be entered. Thank you.
Ms. Savage.
Yes, Judge. Are you going to require a bond?
I was going to do that on the dependent
Yeah,
administrator.
we're just
Okay.
approving it. So do you agree with the judgment declaring heirship?
Yes, I definitely, and I've signed it.
All right, so I'm gonna approve
And
the
I've been paid.
judgment
Everything's good.
declaring heirship. And you may proceed with the the dependent administration counselor.
Mrs. Anderson, please state your full name for the court.
Mrs. Anderson.
Me,
Yes, you.
Jacqueline Marie Anderson.
You're also known as Jackie Anderson, correct?
Yes,
That your son died on July the 21st, 2021. Is that correct?
yes,
And it's the time of his death, even though he died in Houston, Harris County, Texas, he was a resident of Chambers County. Is that correct?
yes,
And as far as you know, he did not leave a will. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And your two and you are the mother of the decedent, and you're also the grandmother of his two children. Is that correct?
Yes,
And that a necessity exists for the administration of his estate. Is that correct?
yes,
And that you are asking the court to be appointed as a dependent administrator because there's a minor child, and for the court to issue bond as appropriate for this estate, and that the two children, basically Cody and Lori Allen, as the parent of the minor child, have agreed for you will be appointed as dependent administrator. Is that correct?
yes,
Your Honor, and you are not disqualified from serving it for any reason. Is that correct? There's no reason why you can't serve. Is that correct?
oh, no, that's correct.
You're not a felon and you don't live out of state. So there's no disqualification. Is that
No, that's
okay?
right.
Your Honor, the asset of this estate is an interest in a family partnership. It's a 2% in these estates, is basically 2% interest, and it's valued about $400,000. So we ask that bond be set, and we ask that the grandmother, Mrs. Jacqueline Anderson, be appointed as dependent administrator, and for the court to enter such orders as the court seems appropriate.
All right, Ms. Savage, anything on the administration?
No, Judge, I don't think that's any of my concerns, really.
No, I know you don't sign off on it, but just wondering if you had any opinion. Okay, so I'm gonna grant the letters of dependent administration. Make bond amount to $400,000.
Thank you, Your Honor. And you will sign the
Thank you.
order today, and we will.
I just signed the order.
Okay, thank you very
So
much.
it's, So
we
you
will
get your
get-
bond, and I don't see a payment from Ms. Savage as
She-
that line.
I've paid, and I sent in a thing to the clerk.
Okay, all right. Then
We're
thank you all. Have a good day.
May we be
Thank you,
dismissed,
Judge.
Your Honor?
Anderson, Jane, good to see you.
May we be
You look-
dismissed,
you
Your
look-
Honor?
Sorry?
May we be dismissed?
Yes, you may be.
Thank you, Your
Thanks,
Honor.
Judge.
All right,
Have a nice
Jane, take
day.
care. Good to see you.
Let's go,
All right,
Douglas.
calls number 81, the state of Nettie Bryce Kitchen. Mr. Strong, good morning.
Good morning, Judge. How are you?
I'm good. You may proceed, Counselor.
Thank you, Your Honor. First witness we'll call Tammy Smith. She's been previously sworn. Ms. Smith, state your name for the record.
Tammy Lynn Smith.
And you're well acquainted with the deceased Nettie Bryce. That was your mother, is that correct?
That's correct.
And she passed away on November 10th, 2002 at the Mount Bellevue Rehabilitation Health Center in Mount Bellevue. Is that correct?
That's correct.
She was about 90 at that time, true?
Yes, she was.
Okay. At the time your mom passed, was she a resident of Chambers County?
Yes,
And she resided at 7904 Bayside Drive in Beach City. Is that
correct.
Now, Ms. Smith, we previously filed with the judge the original will, but I'm showing you this is a copy of what has been filed. You're familiar with this?
I am.
Her will dated October 17th, 2017.
Correct.
You recognize that as her will to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right. And to the best of your knowledge, did your mom ever revoke this will?
She did not.
All right. Does her will name any governmental entity or charitable organization as a devisee or beneficiary?
It does not.
All right. Now, Ms. Smith, I understand your mom was divorced. Can you tell the judge briefly about that?
Yes, so she divorced, and I don't remember the year, but it was her second marriage. And they divorced, and he signed everything over to mother.
Yeah.
He didn't take anything.
Well, she was about 70, in her 70s when she got married.
That's correct. Yeah.
Right. And there weren't any children born of that marriage, right?
No,
All right. Were there any children born after she made this will?
no.
All right. Now, Ms. Smith, you're telling the court there is a necessity for administration because there is some property to transfer. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Your mom's will also named you as her executor. And you and I discussed the qualifications for executor previously. And are you representing to the court and telling the judge you are qualified to serve?
I am.
Your Honor, we point out that the will is self-proved. The only real asset is some land, Ms. Bryce's house, some bank accounts. So we ask that there's no need for appraisers. We ask for appraisers be waived. And that's all we have.
All right. Everybody admits the will of probate and authorize letters. Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
If I may, I handled her divorce, and she was a very sweet person. It's been a while.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right. You may be
Will we be excused, Judge?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Cause number 82, the state of Lenora Elaine Spear. Good morning, Mr. Dawson.
Good morning, Judge.
Gordon.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
All right, Judge. We got Gordon Spear here.
Yes, sir. I see him. And you
May
may
I-
proceed.
Okay, would you state your full name, please?
Gordon W. Spear.
And you were married to Lenora Lane Spear, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And she died on August 5th, 2023, and you
Yes,
were
sir.
resident of Chambers County, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And she had a will which is dated March 9th, 2023, is that right?
That's correct.
And we have filed that will for probate over there in Anahuac, Chambers County, have we not?
Yes,
And a necessity exists for the administration of the estate, is that right?
yes,
We've got to move some things, some assets from property under her will to the beneficiary, which for the most part is you, correct?
that's correct.
And there was no children born or adopted after the date of the will, right?
Yes,
And there is no gift to any charitable organization or any governmental entity, is that right?
yes,
And it's a non-taxable estate,
yes,
and you're asking for appraisers to be waived. We don't need an appraisal of any property or asset, do we?
no,
And she never applied for Medicaid benefits, is that correct?
that's correct.
And she named you as independent executor, is that right?
That's correct.
Other than traffic tickets, you don't have any problem with criminal law, other than maybe some traffic tickets, is that right?
Not as I knows of.
Okay, and Judge, I'd ask that the will of Lenora Lane Smith Spear dated March 9th, 2023 be admitted, and then Gordon W. Spear be appointed independent executor to serve without bond. That's all I have.
So done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge.
All right, take care, Gordon. Have a good day. All right, cause number 88, the state of Kathleen Frazier. Mr. Fuller, good morning.
Good morning, Judge. I'll be testifying, and I've
You
been
may
previously
proceed.
sworn. May I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'm representing the applicant, Kenneth L. Frazier, in the estate of Kathleen Frazier. The decedent died on August the 4th, 2020 in Jefferson County at the age of 65 years. Obviously, 4 years have not elapsed since the date of her death. At the time of her death, she was a resident domicile in Chambers County. The original will is dated November the 13th, 2007, which has been filed with the court. It was executed and drafted in my office. To my knowledge, this will was the last will and testament of the decedent. It was never revoked. There is a need for administration of this estate. There were no children born or adopted after the execution of the will. The decedent did not have a divorce that was dissolved, after the will was executed, there was no marriage of the decedent that was dissolved. The will names the surviving spouse, Kenneth L. Frazier, to serve as independent executor. And to my knowledge, there's no reason why he'd be disqualified from serving. The will does not name the state, governmental agency of the state, or a charitable organization as a devisee. It's a non-taxable estate. We'd ask the court to waive the appraisers and appoint Mr. Frazier, the surviving spouse, as the independent executor.
And hereby admit the will of probate and authorized letters. Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Judge.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Cause number 89, the state of Carlton Wheeler Trent Jr.
Present for that, Judge.
Good morning.
Kimberly Hunt is here. I'll call her.
All right.
With regard to the application. Kim, got to unmute.
Okay. Can you hear me?
We can hear you
now.
Okay.
All right. You state your name for the court.
Kimberly Michelle Hunt.
And you are the surviving stepdaughter of Wheeler Trent, correct?
Correct.
Carlton Wheeler Trent. He went by Wheeler, correct?
Correct.
And he passed away July 16th, 2022 in Anahuac. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And he passed away in his home. He lived here in Chambers County in Anahuac, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and he passed away at the age of 81 years?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Sorry.
And he owned real estate and had some bank accounts and such, correct?
Correct.
And he never moved, correct? He was Residence County when he passed, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, he left a valid will March 20 of 2021, and it was not revoked, correct?
That's correct.
And there were two subscribing witnesses to that, one David Neal, the other Larry Smith, and the will was a self-proving will. Is that right?
That is right.
And that will's been filed with the court, original will.
That is correct.
And there were, at the time of his death, you, your sister, and then his biological son, Nathan, were all surviving at the time. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. But he's appointed you as the independent executive.
Yes.
Okay. And Wheeler was widowed at the time of his death, correct?
Correct.
And he had not remarried or had any other dissolution of marriage after that time, correct?
No, that is correct.
Now, there is a necessity to have this will probated, in that there are some transactions that need to be made with regard to the real estate. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And with regard to monies and accounts.
Correct.
You're asking the court to appoint you executor and to serve without bond. Is that correct?
Correct.
You are not disqualified to serve in any manner, correct? You don't have any felonies on your record or any such that you cannot serve, correct?
No.
Okay. And the will did not name the state of Texas, government agency, or a charitable organization as a devotee. Is that right?
That's right.
And the judge will pass a witness to you and ask that you submit the will to probate and issue letters.
No questions. Everybody admit the will of probate and authorize letters of testamentary. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge. And I like your cup.
All right. Okay, last but not least, cause number 2882, the state of Joshua Moore Sr. Good morning,
Can you
Ms.
hear us?
Clapper.
Good
Mr.
morning.
Moore.
Morning.
Yeah, and you may proceed, Counselor.
Is your name Michael Anthony Moore?
Yes,
Senior, actually.
senior.
And you're the son of Joshua Moore Sr.
Correct,
and the brother of Joshua Moore Jr.
correct.
Now, you understand that this is an independent administration that was established back in 2002
Correct.
when your father died.
Yes,
And Joshua was appointed as the independent administrator of that estate.
yes,
And since that time, Joshua died on September 13th of 2022 in Baptist Hospital, correct?
correct.
And recently did Delta, his wife, is that her name? Deltra, brought you a letter, and we have filed it attached to the proof of death so the court can see a letter from a law firm, Hissey, Moldering and Friend, PLLC, regarding a settlement proposal from Pittsburgh Corning for an asbestos claim, almost $12,000. You now understand that you are now asking the court through the application that you filed and signed with the court to allow you to become the successor independent administrator of your dad's estate because there is an immediate necessity for that.
Correct.
And under the law, you have the right as an heir of the estate, if you're willing to assume this responsibility, to step forward and apply to the court for this.
Yes,
Now, you have spoken with Creola, your mom. She's an heir to the estate,
correct.
and that's listed on the proof of deaths. And you yourself are an heir to the estate. There's your sister, correct?
Yes,
What
Grace.
is her name?
Grace Moore. Grace
And
Moore.
you've spoken with Grace.
Correct.
And then, of course, the estate of Joshua A. Moore Jr., whatever that is, would be a partial heir to the estate as well. So you are not legally impaired by any type of activity that you have conducted during your lifetime that would prevent you from being an independent administrator.
No.
And you're willing to do it. So
Yes.
the question is, you're not disqualified by law from being the administrator of the estate. So you're asking the court today, based upon the need for the estate to go forward, to appoint you as independent administrator of your dad's estate, and you're willing to assume that responsibility.
Correct.
And everything that's written in this proof of death and other facts is true and correct.
Correct.
You've read over this extensive letter, and it looks like you're gonna maybe have some other settlements that come along,
Possibly.
and that would come to your estate.
Mhm.
Judge, I think we've proved that the immediate necessity for the estate to continue to go forward, even though it's been 21 years since it was established.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Anything else?
That's all.
All right. Hereby appoint Michael Anthony Moore Sr. as independent administrator, successor independent administrator, and issuance of letters of administration.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Judge.
ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Have a wonderful day.